Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another edition of Jerry's Take on China from my local park. It's a weekend and there's a lot of background noise. I'm not going to take this off. This is what local parks sound like in China during the weekend. Let's just enjoy the background noise. Today we're talking about the economy. I'm not an economist, but I am an observer of people and their behavior. I'm also very interested in how China is governed. So a little interest in psychology and a lot of interest in governance give me a slightly different perspective on the future. I look at what people are doing, how they're acting, and how the government handles problems. But more importantly, I look at my friends, my family, my neighbors, to get the feel for what's likely to happen. So my predictions don't always match the economists' predictions. In a few months, we can look back at this and tell me if I was wrong or if I got anything right. But for over 20 years, we've been hearing about the imminent collapse of China. Many books have been written about it. And if we go back in time, particularly the last couple of years, we'll see predictions varying from the slowing of the Chinese economy to its complete collapse. Currently, there's a lot of negativity both inside and outside China. I met a friend the other day and he told me they weren't having job fairs at his university this year because there aren't any jobs. Graduates are leaving and becoming immediately unemployed. The World Bank in 2021 predicted a 2022 slowdown. Bloomberg News more recently, using different sets of analyses, suggests that China's growth because of COVID lockdowns will slow further. So on the surface, it all seems quite negative. Except I disagree. Over the last few years that I've been paying attention, I've noticed that China keeps defying the odds. If you go online and you type the words China's growth higher than expected into a search engine, you'll see what I mean. There are many articles from last month, last year, even going back several years, proving that the predictions were wrong. So why do these experts keep getting it so wrong? In my opinion, there are three reasons. One is that they want it to be lower, and since all the indicators show that that might happen, they make predictions which perhaps push potential investors away. The predictions then become reality. Two is that they haven't considered the collective culture, the nationalism of Chinese people. For example, as soon as Wuhan came out of its major lockdown in 2020, millions of dollars of domestic money poured into the region. Shanghai is going to experience the same. This re-stimulates the economy. It rewards locals for their sacrifice. It created domestic markets where people said, I'll buy that because it's from Wuhan. Number three is because of specific and targeted government policies. China Daily recently reported that government policies were a major factor. Shopping vouchers for individuals, cash incentives to households, tax and rent relief to businesses all contributed to keeping the economy back on track. Infrastructure projects were planned for future dates. These were brought forward, and Wuhan's economy bounced back faster and stronger than anticipated. Once again, we got negative reports indicating that the growth is slow and it's unsteady. Of course, there were setbacks. The major floods of 2021 in central China set back everything. But a very interesting side news that economists didn't pick up on. They correctly noted the number of passengers in Wuhan's 21-line metro system was down. They saw this as a sign that the economy wasn't improving. People weren't going to work, and the forecasts were all doom and gloom. What they didn't note was a connection to another economic measurement. The number of car sales was up. People were still going to work, but it seemed they prefer to travel by car rather than by sharing public transport. A cultural and unexpected effect of the virus which added a boost to the economy. Those cars require fuel, maintenance, insurance. New drivers require training and purchasing licenses. All this money was spent in the city, and it helped growth in an unexpected way. Another negative report which drives reporters to conclusions which may not be accurate is the unemployment figure. There's no doubt that this is higher than is wanted, and there's no doubt it is higher than projected. But once again, it doesn't spell disaster for China. First of all, The comparison of China's unemployment to places like the UK, USA and Australia is not a valid comparison. Recently, China legislated to protect gig workers such as drivers and food delivery workers. So instead of a delivery fee for their work, these people now have full-time jobs. In other countries, many jobs are part-time, they're gig work, they don't have a fixed income. So in many places, you may have work, but you don't have a living income. A low unemployment rate doesn't mean much to people who are working, but still hungry or doing two jobs. What it also means is that China's government needs to act, and it needs to act decisively, something they can do and are already doing. As recently as the end of May, China's Premier Li Keqiang hosted a meeting of more than 100,000 government officials and business leaders to discuss this very subject. The scale and format of this meeting underscores China's institutional strength, reported the Global Times. The outcome of the meeting is a 33-point stabilization policy, which includes intensive measures to resume and continue work while protecting employment and ensuring pandemic prevention doesn't interfere with social development. The greatest point about this is that 100% of those officials are all in the same party, working towards the same goals, rather than voting against them. And this is why reading indices, looking at measurements, and not understanding the country's culture, its people, or its governance is the reason economists keep getting it so wrong. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them. But that's my take on the economy here in China right now. I'm more positive than the economists. Bye for now, and thanks again for joining me.